Hi, I'm Scott Elliott. I'm the preaching minister at LaGrange Church of Christ, and I've been doing a series of sermons the last several years called Preaching from the Poets. This is where I look at the theological message behind some songs that are on the radio, maybe songs that you listen to on your iPod. These aren't church songs, they're not particularly religious songs, but they do have some important lessons within them. And so I thought I'd bring this series online and share it with you. I hope it blesses you. If it does, then please share it and tell others about it. And so we're going to begin today with a song by Lukas Nelson and Promise of the Real. It was recorded back in 2019 and released then. And the title of the song is Turn Off the News, Build a Garden. And so we'll begin by listening to, I'll read some of the lyrics and you can listen to them. I'll share the link to this video in the comments so you can listen to it yourself, and then we'll discuss what this song is about. I believe that every heart is kind. Some are just a little underused. Hatred is a symptom of the times, lost in these uneducated blues. I just want to love you while I can. All these other thoughts have me confused. I don't need to try and understand. Maybe I'll get up. Turn off the news. Turn off the news and build a garden, just my neighborhood and me. We might feel a bit less hardened. We might feel a bit more free. Turn off the news and raise your kids. Give them something to believe in. Teach them how to be good people. Give them hope that they can see. Hope that they can see. You know, I loved this song when it came out in 2019. In fact, I almost included it in my Preaching from the Poets series that year, but it just missed the cut. And why I liked it is because it addresses this division that we have in our nation. And it encourages people to distance ourselves from this divisiveness that we see in the media and to focus on personal relationships. And I believe this is important because on social media, on talk radio, on the 24-hour news networks, we are indoctrinated to hate the other side. We are told to view them as the enemy. And this is toxic. It's not healthy for our country. It's not healthy for our personal relationships with one another. And when you begin to back away from that message of us versus them, and you really get to know people, you discover that it is difficult to simply hate somebody because they may disagree with you on something or another, or they may hold a different opinion than you do. So instead of constantly consuming this vitriol, we should have a cup of coffee with our neighbor or someone in our community. We should work together on service projects, community projects. I think if we did that, we would discover that we have a lot in common. You know, many of us go to church with people who don't share our political views or who don't see the world the way that we do. It's unhealthy to fill our minds Monday through Saturday with a message that says we should hate these people and then come to worship on Sunday and hear about how we are united in Christ. Those two messages are in contradiction with one another. They don't go together. Well, because of our current situation, I believe this song is even more meaningful. We are being inundated with information now. We're getting daily updates from the president. Things are changing hour by hour. There are websites out there with real-time reports of how many cases of the coronavirus that we have here in America and how many deaths because of it. And this constant information can become addicting, especially since many of us are stuck at home. You know, it's important to keep up with what's going on in the world. I believe that to be true. I check the news every day. But it's unhealthy to allow it to consume us. There are things much more important than keeping up with the news. And this song here reminds us of that. Again, some of the lyrics are turn off the news and build a garden, turn off the news and raise your kids. We can be tricked into thinking that keeping up with the news nonstop is really important. But you know, what is really important is the everyday, average things that you and I do. It's things like raising our kids, growing our food, checking on our neighbors, even doing the laundry and washing dishes. It's our daily prayers. And all of these things are more important than just sitting down and consuming the news. And the song really focuses on building community. It explains the importance of planting gardens and raising kids. And I want you to, again, listen to some of these lyrics. Turn off the news and build a garden. Just my neighborhood and me. We might feel a bit less hardened. We might feel a bit more free. Building community is really important. You know, it's important to our society. It's important to our towns. It's essential to church because the church itself is a community. And sometimes we forget this. We think church is about this 1 hour on Sunday morning, and that's it. One of the most important passages in the Bible about the church is found at the end of Acts chapter 2. And it says this, and all who believed were together and had all things in common. And they were selling their possessions and belongings and distributing the proceeds to all as any had need. And day by day, that is every day, attending the temple together and breaking bread in their homes, they received their food with glad and generous hearts. Building community, we can see here, was essential to the early church. And sadly, we have gotten away from this in our culture. Even the church, who should be an example of community to everyone else, has gotten away from this. And Lukas Nelson, this secular songwriter, he senses this. He recognizes that there's a problem. He recognizes that we're missing something. We're isolated. We're divided. We need to turn off our devices. And we need to do something that builds community. I know right now, in the situation that we're in, it's difficult to do some of this. But what we can do is we can do some of this with our family. We can even do it with our neighbors. Many of us are outside more than we were a few weeks ago. And I don't know if you've noticed, but people are taking more walks. They're spending more time outside. And so practice safe social distancing, do that. But also get to know your neighbor. We can also try to build community by staying in touch. Check in with others, call someone, do a video chat. I know this is not ideal, but it's something. Martin Luther once said, "If I knew the world would end tomorrow, I would plant a tree." This quote reminds me of this song, and it reminds me of what we're going through right now. What are Christians to do in the midst of chaos? Well, the advice of Luther is helpful. We're not to panic. We are to keep on living. We're to live faithfully, not fearfully. This is what we are to do. And so be an example to others in these tumultuous times. While everyone else is fearfully huddled around their TV or their computer, we should go out and we should plant a tree. We should help others. This is the Christian thing to do. So yes, turn off the news and build a garden. Until next time, God bless.